Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Before we get started, please hit subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my latest investing and personal finance content. And also, please be sure to check the link on your screen for a special offer from our sponsor, The Motley Fool, where you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now. So now we're well into earnings season. We just heard from several social media companies, and let's be honest, the results weren't great. One exception is one of my favorite stocks and one of my personal biggest stock holdings, and that's Pinterest, ticker symbol PINS. Pinterest is well known for being kind of a different kind of social media site. They're a visual discovery engine. It's where people go to get ideas. When we wanted to put a pool in our backyard, that's where we went to find ideas. When we wanted to landscape our yard, that's where we figured out what type of palm tree we wanted. So Pinterest is used for things like that. And it's really kind of going against the grain in a really good way when it comes to all these advertising based businesses, which is the typical social media model. So in the third quarter, Pinterest revenue grew 8% year over year, which isn't, it won't take your breath away, but that's pretty good considering what's going on in the industry. Its user growth is resuming. If you recall, Pinterest user growth was really not great. It actually declined in for the past for a few quarters in 2022 or in 2021 as the world kind of reopened from the COVID pandemic and people had less time to spend online. Now user growth is up sequentially. It's up by about 12 million users from the last quarter to 445 million total. Or monetization looks pretty strong. Its average revenue per user is up 11% globally, including 38% in the extra important parts of the world that are not in the North America or in Europe. There are some downsides. Pinterest expenses are high. They're spending a lot more on research and development than they were recently because they're kind of shifting their focus to e-commerce. They're figuring out how they fit into the e-commerce landscape. This costs money, so expenses are high. Their adjusted EBITDA profit is down 62% year over year, which is concerning to some investors, myself included. But I think the good definitely outweighs the bad in the third quarter. So some of their new initiatives are really promising. They're doubling down on video content, which has tripled over the past year. They're focusing on integrating music into their platform with partnerships with companies like Warner. They're building different tools for merchants to use. Speaking of that e-commerce focused, and monetization internationally is such a huge opportunity. It's really tough to overstate how important that is. If you look just on your screen at just how little their average user generates outside of the US and Europe, it's minuscule. So during the quarter, they just launched ads for the first time in Argentina, Chile, and Colombia, which should help out with a lot of that rest of the world monetization. Really curious to see how that plays into the numbers going forward, because that's where you know the majority of their user base is in that rest of the world segment. I'm very happy with Pinterest earnings. It's one of my largest stock holdings. It's one I plan to add to significantly over time, especially if it stays around these levels. And it's really refreshing to see Pinterest's revenue grow at a time when a lot of advertising businesses like Facebook and Snap are moving in the opposite direction. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.